Today I'll be reviewing this Ontario 12-inch Sawback Machete. And thank you very much to my friend Kevin for sending this. Very nice. I really appreciate it. I'll start off by showing you what you get if you buy one. You don't get a sheath. Mine came in this cardboard sleeve with a warning on it saying that knives are sharp. It's important to know, guys. Don't cut yourself. The cardboard isn't holding up to the weather. It snowed and now the air temperature is warming up and there's snow melting off the trees. Specifications: it's got a black blade. Actually, it's a zinc phosphate finish. It's marketed as a 12-inch machete, but the specification says 12.5 inches. Okay. Just under 12.5 inches. Blade thickness 0.125 inches. Blade grind is a full flat taper with a flat bevel. And the blade material is 1095. Hardness is 52 to 55 HRC. Country of origin USA. Alright, so this isn't mystery steel. It's what I would call a bargain option. It's available on Amazon right now for around $37. I'll put the link in the description. Also available from the manufacturer, that's OntarioKnife.com, but it's more on that website. But I'll list that too in the description so you can look up the specifications for yourself. Alright, so the first thing I'll mention is that it's thick for a machete. I gave you the specifications, but sometimes that doesn't register with people. Usually machete is much thinner than that and flexible. This I could flex if I really heaved on it, but it's not tremendously thick, but it is thick and heavy for a machete, or you could say a knife that size. 12-inch blade, a 12.5-inch blade is like the transition, I would say, between like a big camp knife and a machete. And the Sawback looks to me like a metal saw. If it were wood, then the teeth would be bent over one side and then the other, one side and then the other. So as you're sawing through your limb or your log, you're making a hole that's wider than the blade, basically. This, the saw is exactly the same width as a blade, so you could saw with wood for it, with it, but it seems to me like it's meant more as a survival saw, maybe for hacking your way out of an aircraft, like the metal skin or something, or just you want a really rugged saw, kind of like dual purpose, maybe they were thinking. Also, the tip is basically blunt. There is a grind and a final edge, but that tip is pretty close to blunt. And the first part of the blade, that much, 2 fingers, a little bit more, is not sharpened at all. The edge starts here. So it does come sharpened. I'll have to explain myself. Like I said, there's a grind and then there's an edge, but there's different kinds of edges. How acute do you want the edge? So I'll have to show you a diagram. Alright, so these lines are going to be deliberately exaggerated. It's not even literal. I'm just making a point. There's different kind of edges. So let's say here is the flat of your blade, and then that's the grind, and then what kind of final edge do you have on that? Actually, I have to make it even bigger to make my point. Got the flat of the blade, the angle grind, and then your final edge. It could be like a Scandi grind, or it could be less of an angle. Then if you had a kitchen knife, you might have very acute angle. But with a kitchen knife, just imagine your kitchen knife now, it's 12 inches long, and using it to cut down a tree, be quite easy to chip off that thin blade. So in my opinion, this Ontario machete is sharpened, but instead of an acute point like that, it's not as acute. It's closer to the angle you'd have, for example, on a hatchet. Also, the edge, the way it's sharpened, it's uneven. I'm thinking that must have been unintentional, just a quality control thing. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see it. I'll start by chopping off some of these little limbs. I need something sharper than that. I mean, I need something with a more acute blade angle. But in my opinion, a lot of machetes are left like that, or even left basically unsharpened, so you can put the kind of edge on it that you want. So to do that, I'm using this Nicholson File, 10-inch mill file, bastard cut. Put the link in the description. You can get this at Tractor Supply. Okay, so in a lot of these instructional videos, I see people, they take the blade and put it in a clamp of one sort or another, and that's fine if you're in your garage or your shop or something, you're going to work around the farm or do some yard work. But I'm not carrying clamps out here in the woods, I just don't. So I'll show you where you do it without a clamp. And also, this end is meant to put in a handle. I usually don't bring a handle out into the woods, I just hold it like that. If you have delicate skin, you might want to watch yourself around the file teeth. They're not like cut your way open sharp, but they might irritate you, cause some redness or something. So if that's you, bring the handle. Alright, so I'm just going to sharpen the sweet spot. The point, like I said, was left basically blunt, so that's going to take a lot of work. I'll put a point on it later. And down here I'm going to put a different kind of edge. I'm thinking of putting a carving edge down here somewhere. That'll be a future video. Right now I'm just doing what I call a sweet spot. Using it to chop, you can see where I'm hitting. And that is not the zinc oxide finish coming off the blade. That's just dirt, bits of wood basically. So I'm being careful. So I can feel the grind of the blade. Pardon me. So just by eye, I'm picturing just a little bit more acute of an angle, what I want for an angle. Don't have a jig or anything, I'm just doing it by hand and by feel. And then I start taking off material to create that edge. So notice that I'm always pushing on the blade. It's hard to see in person and even harder on the camera. Probably need a magnifying glass. But there's teeth on the file. When you look at it in person, you can basically only see lines, but trust me, there are teeth on the file and they're designed to cut this way, pushing towards the blade. They're not designed to cut this way. So you don't want to go like this, and you don't want to go back and forth, because when you're pulling away from the blade, it's not sharpening the blade and it's dulling your file if you use any pressure. So, toward the blade. It's different techniques. I'm right-handed, so going to keep the file in my right hand, but you could swap over, but I'm just going to go like this. I didn't time it, that was maybe 5 minutes just to sharpen the sweet spot there. One thing I'm noticing is that handle feels a little slippery just as it comes from the factory. These gloves I think are polyester and acrylic, so that might be part of the issue. Try it just with a bare hand. So that tree is dead, but it still has structure. It dried and it's hard. Just like the first maybe 1/4 inch is a little soft, but the inside is hard, particularly the core. So that wasn't bad. It was bad before I sharpened it. I mean, again, the more blunt edge, be good for smashing yourself out of a car or something, an aircraft. For chopping wood, a little bit more steep of an angle, worked a lot better. So I thank you guys. Together we've created this nice pole to use in a shelter. That does saw. It's not really what I want for a wood saw. Don't have anything metal out here I can attack with it. Here's my inexpensive sheath option I'm presenting. You can buy a sheath from Ontario, but it seems expensive to me for what you get, not really the style. Just for a stopgap, if you know where to go, you can get this machete Trooper 12-inch, and they call it the Rambo style. You can get it as low as $7 in the US, and if you're in Central America, even less expensive than that. And we'll go over the machete itself in a future video, but for right now, that's a somewhat low-cost option. And you also get a different style of machete. This is a light machete, thin, meant to be flexible blade. But that's for later. And we'll go over the sheath just quickly right now. The loops here, so it can be either right or left-handed sheath. That's just temporary. I have a really cool idea, at least I think it's cool. Really cool idea for a survival machete with multiple pouches to put a sharpener and a survival kit. Like, can I have like a one tool option, modify the machete, create a custom sheath. So I think we've got some really cool things coming. And again, thanks to my friend Kevin for sending me the machete. It makes me so happy. But that's it for now. I'll catch you again soon. Do not worry about tomorrow. Matthew 6:34.